más de los intercambios. Al menos en este primer asalto. ¡Un torneo! ¡Se terminó!
That sounded like a bomb going off, and you probably won't believe me when I say that that wasn't even one of the most brutal ones we have from this past weekend because, as usual, the regional MMA scene did not disappoint, and we're going to end the month of November off with a bang. See what I did there? But first, let's jump to our fan comment of the week, which goes to Juan Gomez, who came up with a new name for this submission from last week, where Takahashi secured this ninja choke, and then proceeded to roll around like a crocodile submitting his prey, so props to Juan for deeming the unofficial name for this unique submission. What's going on, everyone? It's the Casual, Lawton Veerkant, and this is Caposa's Corner. Kicking us off this week, we're heading to Octagon 37 in Kazakhstan, where, yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it because it is time for Caposa's KO of the Week. Here we have the main event heavyweight title fight for the vacant belt that sees Vladimir Rudak sitting at a 3-1 record, and he's taking on Islambek Baktibek Ulu, and he has a 6-2. So this one actually makes it to the third round, where we begin the round with a hug, but after about 2.5 minutes, yeah, I don't think they're gonna want to hug each other after this happens. What in the world has been happening lately with the legal, illegal, or almost soccer kicks? And the silver lining here was that, yes, it was a soccer kick, which is illegal under Octagon's rules, but this was not a grounded opponent, and it just so happened to be at the perfect time as he was falling down, and it really put a stamp on this one. Also, look at how clean and heavy that overhand right was. Yeah, I don't even think he needed to throw that kick, but he did, and we were lucky enough to see it, so props to Ulu on this brutal knockout, which improved his record to 7-2, and congrats for winning our KO of the Week award. Now we're off to visit our friends at Cage Warriors 147 in England, where we have 2 fights to show you. For the first, we have a lightweight bout that has Eric Da Silva sitting at a 22-8, and he actually competed on Tough Brazil back in 2015, where he went 1-1, and he's taking on Jan K. Hagens, who has just a 9-4. Okay, so back to my usual spiel, something just doesn't seem to add up with these records and Silva's experience, but they didn't ask me, and as you would assume, this whole fight only lasts 24 seconds.
Mr. Silva.
Well, that is about how I thought the fight was going to go, but I did not see K. Hagens landing this huge knee, which, side note, how in the world did Silva not get knocked out cold from that? But once the swarm began, our friend Mark Goddard tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it was just too much, and this fight comes to a stop. You can see in the slow-mo, too, that ground and pound was connecting, so there was just no other choice but to call this one off, which is a huge win for K. Hagens, who now has a 10-4, and this was a great name to add to his resume, especially the fact that he did it in just 24 seconds and in devastating fashion. Well, that's definitely going to look good moving forward. And for our second fight at Cage Warriors 147, man, we are just coming in hot this week because now we're going to take a look at Caposa's prospect of the week. Here we have the main event lightweight title fight between Chris Bungard, and he's up against George Hardwick, and just like last week, we're going to go over all the details after the fact, but this one does make it to the second round, and the whole round is a pretty solid back and forth standing bout, but with just 30 seconds left in the round, who do you think is going to be holding the belt at the end of this one?
That's not throwing his calf kick.
Oh, big body shot. Get out of there. This is going to be over. It is over.
And just like that, George Hardwick claims this win via huge body shot that just collapses him, and the ground and pound after forces a stoppage, so let's talk a little bit about Hardwick. So this win actually improves him to a very nice 11-1, and it was actually his first lightweight title defense here at Cage Warriors, and Hardwick is on a 7-fight winning streak, where the past 5 have all been by finish. Caposa also noted that he has 3 body shot wins, and almost all of his other KO TKO wins have been set up by a huge body shot, so his use of focusing on the body is really something to watch out for and to be excited for when you see it in a fighter. He also has some experience in Bellator's Euro Series back in 2020, and obviously Cage Warriors isn't a small stage either, so the idea of the UFC or even Bellator grabbing him again is becoming incredibly likely, so congrats to Hardwick one more time on claiming our Prospect of the Week award, for securing yet another fantastic TKO win, and for still being the Cage Warriors lightweight champion. Next up, we're going to check out Immortal FC 11 in Brazil, where we have 2 fights to show you. For the first, we have another lightweight matchup between Diego Silva, who has an 11-10 record, and his opponent Kaique Luco has an even rougher 10-13. Yeah, so this is a fun one because as soon as round 1 starts, we are off to the races, and there's just no way that this way of fighting is sustainable for very long.
Dá pra lá e cá. Eita! Conecta belo golpe, nocaute, acabou.
Well, that was chaotic, but Silva does eventually land this right hook. That does send him down, and then why not bounce his head off the canvas a few times until the ref gets there? Now, I know, we weren't working with exactly the greatest records here, but the fact that this whole fight only lasted 15 seconds, and these two went from 0 to 100 real quick and kept it at that pace the whole time, well, that was worthy enough to show you all, so congrats to Silva on the win and for improving his record to 12-10, and just a suggestion, you might want to do some feeling out of your opponent in your next fight. For our second fight at Immortal FC 11, we have the co-main event heavyweight bout that sees Guilherme Lazzarini with just a 1-0 record, and he's taking on Jonata Diniz, who only has a 2-0, but he has a pretty extensive kickboxing background at Glory, so combat sports isn't exactly new to him. And as fate would have it, we're in the first round again, and both fighters are kind of taking it slow and just feeling the other out, but that's about to come to a screeching stop as we near the first minute mark.
Guilherme também é muito bom em pé, hein? Não é nenhum bobo. Se fechando bem, bela joelhada do Jonathan. Meu Deus!
One leg kick, a few block strikes, and then a left hook that would have torn down a tree, and yeah, this one is over. Caposa pointed out how scary it is to see a heavyweight moving that quick because in his few sequences before the final one, yeah, Diniz is just putting some combinations together and seemed to be doing it with ease, so you combine that with his kickboxing background and obviously knockout power, this guy could become very dangerous very fast. But until then, congrats on this win and doing it in just 1 minute and for keeping your MMA record clean at 3-0. Off to visit Fusion Fighting Championship 55 in Chile, where we have a flyweight bout between Nilson Rojas, representing the red corner and with a clean 4-0, and he's taking on Miguel Angel Fierro, representing the blue corner and with an 7-6. Okay, so this one might look familiar from the intro, but it couldn't hurt to watch it again, and we have the replays this time, so as we near the 2-minute mark of the first round, well, yeah, just take a look again.
No quiere saber más de los intercambios. Al menos en este primer asalto. ¡Oh! ¡Un termino! ¡Se terminó!
Holy overhand right, and thankfully no follow-up shots because you can see that as soon as that right connects, well, it is just lights out and this one is over. And actually, Rojas did get clipped on the top of the head when he was throwing this overhand, so thankfully that one didn't hit him too hard because that could have totally changed the outcome of this one, but alas, he ducked enough to get under it, the right connects, and he claims this win via brutal overhand right, keeping his record clean at 5-0. Moving on, we're gonna head to Lux Fight League 28 in Mexico, where we have a featherweight bout that sees Juan Alvarez with a 3-1 record, and his opponent, Ricardo Arreola, has an 9-8. Okay, so again, not exactly the most even records, but this fight does actually make it to the third and final round. The catch is, though, this round only lasts 22 seconds.
Look at Arreola, he just keeps on going. He ate 2 punches, though. He ate another one. Arreola's dropped, and that's it. Wow.
Yeah, that stupid fight clock almost got in the way, but as always, we have the replays. So, surprisingly, Ricardo was the aggressor and was actually landing some shots on Alvarez while he was pushing him back, but when this right to left hook connected, well, it is just lights out for Ricardo as he face plants straight down to the canvas. The ending of this fight kind of reminded me of the one from earlier where the two guys are just swinging and praying, hoping that something will land, and thankfully it does for Alvarez in this one as he puts a stop to it early in the third and improves his record to 4-1. Now we're gonna head to CES MMA 71 in Rhode Island, where we have the flyweight main event title fight for the vacant belt that sees Flavio Carvalho sitting at just a 7-4-1, and he's up against Mitch Raposo, who has a 6-1 and actually competed on the return of Tough season and had a fight on the Contender Series last year where he sadly lost. We've got another one that makes it to the second round, but man, these are just not lasting long because this one gets a finish in just 19 seconds.
By Joe Lozon, we are cage side at CS 71 as Raposo lands a big left hook, big right hand, it's over. That is going to do it.
Something must have been in the air this week because of all the massive right hands we've seen, and Raposo follows suit by rocking him with this left hook, and then he charges his overhand right and it just timbers him down to the canvas. This is his second win in a row after his loss in the Contender Series, and he does now have a 7-1 record, which obviously isn't bad. So maybe with a few more wins he can get another shot on the big stage, but until then, everyone welcome your new new CES MMA flyweight champion. Still going, we're going to take a look at LFA 147 in Iowa, where we have a bantamweight bout that has Rafael do Nascimento with a very nice 7-1 record, and his opponent, Justin Wetzel, also has a nice 7-1. Finally, some good and even records. We're at LFA, and we know they always deliver, and as we start in the second round, well, who do you think is going to come out on top on this one?
Land more from the bottom, so I think his kick got checked right there.
That would be Nascimento with this beautiful flying switch knee directly into this right hand that just folds him, and the 2 ground hooks are thankfully all that sneak in before the ref can get over there and wave this one off. And although these two had the same records before the fight started, Caposa did make a note to me that Nascimento was a 3-1 betting underdog for this one. So this is a major upset win for him, and definitely not a bad fighter to put on your resume, so congrats on this win and for improving your record to 8-1. And for our last fight this week, we're heading to Tough Enough 130 in Nevada, where, again, we didn't forget because now it is time to look at Caposa's hand-picked submission of the week. Here we have the middleweight main event title fight for another vacant belt, and this one has Daniel Compton sitting at a 7-2 record, and his opponent, Maki Pitolo, has a 15-9 and has been featured on this show before, as well as having fights in Bellator and the UFC. So we're heading to the third round, where just 15 seconds in, Pitolo gets this nice takedown where we stay down for just over 40 seconds, and then Compton makes a move to actually get it back to the feet, but Pitolo doesn't like that, so we get another takedown from him. And once Compton gets situated back in guard, well, yeah, just take a look at this one.
Oh, Compton rolls over to isolate that arm. Oh, he's got it, my goodness. That's it, wow!
And what better way to celebrate a win than running out of the cage and picking a fight with your opponent's entire team that's in attendance for this one. And it escalated so quickly that they actually made an announcement immediately after this for everyone to leave the venue, but okay, let's get back to the submission. Yeah, did you see that one coming? It was looking like Pitolo was just in complete control, which technically he was for basically this entire round, but as soon as Compton gets back in guard, he isolates his left arm and rotates his body around just enough to secure the Kimura, which forces the verbal tap, and this one comes to a quick end. I actually don't think I've seen a Kimura get started or secured from the fighter on the bottom, so this one was definitely a new one for me, and a huge win for Compton as he improves his record to 8-2, claims the vacant middleweight belt, but you might want to work on that temper and, you know, try to not fight the other fighter's team. You know what time it is. It is the final week of the month of November, so make sure you leave a comment down below voting for your favorite KO, submission, and prospect for the month of November so that I can tally them up and figure out who the winners are so that we can feature them on next week's episode. And we want to say a huge thank you, as always, to Caposa for helping us with these videos, and if you want more highlights just like these daily, well, go on over to Twitter and give him a follow at Grabaka_Hitman, and you can also show him some support by checking out his Patreon at patreon.com/Caposa, and if you ever want to watch these crazy regional fights live, well, check out his website, GrabakaHitman.com, where he posts weekly live schedules and the easiest ways to watch all of these events. We also could not do these videos without these organizations hosting these events all year round for our viewing pleasure, so thank you to them and to the fighters, winners, and losers, and we will see you all on the next video. Peace!